Hi friends, David here from Above AVL and Learn Stage Lighting. And in this video, we want to talk about, okay, you're sitting down, maybe you're like brand new to lighting and you're lighting for a band or a church or, some kind of performance. It doesn't have to be performance. I don't want to throw church in that performance bucket, but it's something musical or something that has a structure to it. So it could be worship music, it could be a theater show, it could be a band. And when you're first sitting down at the console, you've got your fixture set up, you've got control. What are the things to think about, and what are the first things that you want to do before you program that first cue? Let's dive in. It's always good to first note a few really important things. This tutorial is not about any specific console. Like we're in Onyx. This is an Onyx NX1 with the NXW sidecar, which is just awesome. Also can be used with a PC, but it's not the right tool for everyone. And we say that here a lot. It is a professional grade console. It's designed primarily to be run by an operator actually running it, not automated. Though it can do that. If at the entry level, there are better solutions, but it's great for this introduction. So when it comes down to it, you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to start programming lights for this performance or show or service. What do I do first? What's the very first thing to do? So I'm just going to go with our rig here in the studio. So I'm going to turn it off and we're going to sit here and walk through the basics of what to do. So the very first step before you make any cue in pretty much any console or software is to put together some building blocks. In Onyx, these are called presets. In other consoles, they may be called palettes. Or, for example, if you're using a software like Lightkey, you can actually build cues or you can build preset palettes and then drag them into cues. Whatever it is, we want to build the building blocks that we're going to need to build our cues because there's two main reasons. Number one, in most consoles, if you update the preset or palette, it's going to update all the cues that were created with it. So things like colors, preset positions, anything like that. You always want to work out of a preset because it allows you to modify at mass everything you created from it. Okay, that can be a huge benefit when you've programmed a lot of stuff and you need to fix something. Okay. Number two is that it makes the cue programming easier and quicker. So when you're sitting down, you're building cues in a few minutes, it's going to make it so that you're not like, okay, let me mix the perfect red, the perfect orange here. It's like, no, I've got that. I'm focused more on the big picture. I'm able to work faster and I'm able to do better work because I'm not distracted. So presets are going to be first. So for example, let's say I just grab my light pipes here in the background. I don't even know how many I have. So I'm going to highlight it really quick. Okay. So we'll say that is one of our first fixtures. So we're just going to go take them to full. And maybe I go ahead and store that into a full preset. Okay. So we'll just do that really quick. I should have had a keyboard attached. I would normally name it, but I'm moving quick here. Then I'll go to color really quick. So now I'm in color. Then I go ahead and I'm like, okay, got my color. So we're just going to mix up some colors quick. Oh man, these encoders feel so good. Boom. So I've got red. I'll make that first color. This is just for demonstration use. So we're just going to go quick. Green, blue. And then I'm going to mix up a white that I like. And then the beautiful thing too about a palettes based approach, and these are a warm white out of the box. I'm just going to cool it down, make it a little more neutral. Just out of the box is that, again, I don't have to get perfection when I'm first creating these presets. It's helpful, but it's not ultimately required. So now I've got that warm white, and now I'm just going to take this and actually make a really nice amber with it. Okay, so I'm going to take out the white, red to full, green to something. Make it a nice deep amber that looks a little red on camera. So I'll shade for the camera here. Boom. 5 color presets. We're going to do this the same for positions, for anything else we're doing. But hey, We'll keep it simple here because the point of this tutorial is to walk through the process and really get you going on the process. So once you have presets built, now it's time to really think about your structure. So before you're even going ahead, like, a lot of people are just going to go, oh, I'm going to go to a group here. I'm going to grab all my light pipes. Oops, I didn't make a group. You should always make groups as well when you're making palettes. But let's just say I grab half my lights and I take them to blue and I take them to my full preset. Boom. And then I take the other half or whatever I have and I take them to full and I take them to my amber. Okay. Wasn't half and half. It works. It's art. Okay. And so you might be like, okay, I'm just going to start pulling things up and storing them into a queue that I want to play back. However, it's really not that simple. Okay, so this is where, before you're even bringing things into your programmer, you want to go ahead and think about how is this event being played back? Okay, are you operating it? Is someone else operating it? What is what I like to call your confidence level that the event itself is going to follow the prescribed order or the schedule, right? Because we've all been there. I know when I used to like corporate events for a living, it's like there were event producers that wanted to put everything nice and neat in a single cue list, like a theatrical show, and just bump through it. And that works really well if the event follows the schedule perfectly. If it doesn't, it can be a headache. Okay. It can be a giant headache. And I cannot tell you the number of times on events where I had producers going, oh no, they're out of order. Lighting, can we fix this? And I go, yeah, no problem. Why? Because I didn't build things in a straight queue list. However, there are benefits. So let's talk through. When it comes to programming, a lot of times, if it's a show that does have a predetermined order to it, then you go ahead and you go, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this blue and orange. And that's going to be my first cue. So record that in, right? Then I'm going to go and for the next cue, I take all of them, maybe. I take the blue ones, I take them to 0, and I record that. I know we're just making art here. Okay. And then I go through my next cue, right? Maybe I go and take them all, and I should have built a group first. Yes, I should have. And we put them in our warm white, and we record that. Boom. And so a queue list type structure like this works great as long as the event follows the queue list perfectly. Now, there are a few nuances, a few ways that you can adjust this to fit events that maybe don't follow a perfect schedule. Okay. For example, in music, if you're doing a show that is, or an event that is really tied into the songs, you're like, okay, verse, pre chorus, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus bridge, verse, outro, right? You've got that structure. You know that the band is going to play that exactly or pretty close to it because again, most consoles can jump around within a list of cues. Then you could go ahead and build a cue list specifically for that song. Always building off your presets so that, for example, if you go to a different venue, if you change sets, you're able to update positions, you're able to update colors, and have that affect those cue lists later. Okay. If you have an event where, again, it is very regimented, there's a schedule, we're sticking to it, everything's going to happen in exactly the order it's supposed to, then doing one big long cue list where you just like select some lights, place them in a queue, record, right? Select some lights, place them in a queue, record. Select some lights, place them in a queue, record. You can do that in one big long queue list. The benefit to that approach is that you are going to be able to have somebody who really doesn't know a thing about lighting play that back. In theater, they often call this a go monkey, right? Somebody's just there. They're going to press go, go, go when they're supposed to. The show or the event is going to move forward. So that has a huge benefit. However, what if your show is not as definite in the order? Okay, what if it is not like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that, and then we're going to do that? Then You want to leave your console as unstructured as possible. Okay, this is where things are going to be a lot different. So, for example, maybe you go ahead and you go, hey, this first fader is going to be my intensity for my front lights. This one's my back lights, right? Then I may go on my screen, perhaps, may go to some button playbacks or on physical buttons, right? Maybe under the console. Onyx is going to have that functionality in the future, and we're excited about it. Maybe on the sides, okay, that have different color combinations in them, different gobo patterns, things like that. Breaking up as much as you can so that no matter what the people on stage do, whether you know they're going to do it or not, you're able to go ahead and play that back and get a really good event and make it look like you meant for it to happen the whole time. And that's called punting or a punt page. Okay. There's a lot you can go into with punting, but the basic gist is you may have kind of a main cue list that has the basics, but there are a lot of faders and buttons and other things that you can use to override that to feel out the moment during the event. In fact, actually, inside of Learn Stage Lighting Labs, we have a whole course called Puntastical that walks you through in a console agnostic way, meaning it works on any console or software, how to set up punt pages like this. And it's definitely worth checking out. We've got links to the labs below. But all that to say, these are the main programming styles for lighting, and it's what you really want to think about before you even go create your first lighting cue so that you're not like, oh man, I need to adjust this, I need to pull this out, I need to move it over here, I need to update this, I need to delete this. You're not redoing work, but instead, you're building things the way that you intend to play them back the first time. Okay. If you're new here, we're above AVL. We love to help people every day with their lighting, audio, and visual needs. So if you liked this video and you need any gear, check out aboveavl.com. We've got a team of experts. They're not salespeople, they're just experts who love to help you find the right thing for your needs, quote it out, get your personalized price, and then help you get it into your hands. We're just helpful, nice people who love to help. And if you appreciated us here, you'll appreciate us there. Not only that personalized price, but just the service you get from some folks that actually listen, look at your space, and help recommend the right thing. If that resonates with you, check us out at aboveavl.com. If not, don't worry about it. Head over to learnstagelighting.com. We'll have a link as well. We've got a guide we want to throw into your hands, okay? It is the 3 things we really wish we knew before, 3 mistakes rather, that we see people make all the time when they're buying gear. Check that out. It's going to save you money. It's going to save you frustration. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.